This is Gemara Baba Basra Daf Kof Chof Gimel, and all the learning should be an incredible schos. Rafua Shalima for Tineg ben Miriam Ahuva B'siyata Deshmaya the Koyach HaTorah. As we walk away from Simchas Torah and Shmini Atzeres, should bring the ultimate Refuais and Yeshuais. We're holding two lines from the bottom. Again, I apologize for lack of video. Hopefully, Mirz Hashem, the next year or two, the video will be back. Tanu Rabbanan, says the Gemara, two lines from the bottom as we continue the discussion of the halacha of Pi Shnayim. Tanu Rabbanan. Lases Loi Pi Shnayim. Says the Brais of the Torah says that one who's a Bachar, he gets Pi Shnayim. He gets a double portion. Pi Shnayim Ke'echad. This means he gets a double portion of any of the other one son. Meaning, let's say there's three sons that you divide into three, and then the Bachar gets an extra one. Or I say divide into four. Well, that's going to be part of the discussion. But he gets the same amount as one of the other sons. Says the Gemara, what does Pishnayim mean? Does it mean Pishnayim like one of the other sons? Or maybe it means that he gets Pishnayim of the entire estate, which would mean he gets 2/3 of the entire estate, and the remaining third is that which goes to the other brothers. Now explains the Gemara, Vidinu. In reality, it's a kal v'chaimer that can teach us how to learn this as we turn over to today's daf, Daf Kufchav Gimel Amud Aleph. Says the Gemara, Chalkai im echad, that the firstborn, the Bachar, divides with one brother, v'chalkom chamisha, and he divides with 5. Just like if he has only one brother, he gets one portion like that brother of Chalkum Chamisha B'Shnayim Kechad. So Kal V'Chaimer should teach us that he should get one portion like whom? Like the other brothers, and not 2/3. O Klach L'derech Zu. Or maybe I'll tell you the opposite. Chalkum Echad V'Chalkum Hey Ma Chalkum Echad B'Shnayim Kechol Anasim. Just like, true, it's a technical detail, but when he divides with one brother, he ends up with 2/3. Maybe he still should get 2/3. So Tam Leimar, the Gebaris approves on the first white line, Kufchav Gimel Amud Aleph, V'haya b'yoyman chilo es banav. It's a day that he gives over and he bequeaths to his children. Hatayah ribsa nachala itzel achen. The Torah increases the nachla with regard to other brothers. Therefore, you cannot learn like the latter way to learn, that he gets double of the entire estate. Ella kilashain harishain. The fact that Torah says and the Torah is teaching these actual words, teaches us that he gets the same amount as other brothers, other sons, and not 2/3 of the whole estate. Vaimer, on the third by line, another ayah, Bnei Reuben v'chay Yisrael kihu habachar ubachala yitzui aviv nastai becharas ala bnei Yosef ben Yisrael v'lo yachesh libachayra, and says the pasuk not to be given as a bachayra. So in this pasuk as well, we see he gets like another one of the brothers. Vaimer kihu degvar ba'achav lenegin mimenu v'abachayra liyosef nemra bachayra liyosef v'nemra bachayra l'dairis. From this pasuk we learn a pasuk in Divrei Yamim that it says bachar by Yosef bachar l'dairis. Ma b'chayra Amar li Yosef Pishnayim ke'echad. Just like the b'chayra that serves by Yosef, it gets Pishnayim of one of the brothers. Av'chayra Amar l'dairis Pishnayim l'dairis. Excuse me, Pishnayim ke'echad, meaning he gets like one of the brothers doesn't get 2/3 of the entire estate. Vaimer, and another ayah. Traveling through Bereshis now, psukim that we just started the Torah and we'll get to in a few weeks. Says the Gemara, did Yaakov Avinu take it with his sword and his bow? The pasuk already says, they didn't actually get it with his charbi v'kashti. Ella, what does this mean? A famous drasha, says the Gemara, about 12 lines down, El charbi zu tfila, kashti zu bakasha. The Gemara darshins that Yaakov Avinu received this part of the nachla through his tfilos. My v'oimer. So after bringing a whole list of psukim, says the Gemara, why is this necessary? We had one pasuk, and that should suffice. Why do we need all the other psukim? You're going to tell me, If you can tell him the first pasuk is going only according to Rav Yechman Breika, Tashema, Bnei Reuven, B'chai Yisrael, V'chitim, B'charim, B'chai Rasa, Le'gamrinan. Maybe that pasuk is only by a B'char, but not a B'chaira. Tashema, V'b'char Li Yosef, V'chitim, Yosef Gufei, Mimai Depi Shnayim Kechad, Avi, how do you know by Yosef, Tashema, V'nisat L'chem Shem Echad Al Checha. Amar Rabba L'Baya, Ema, Tikla Ba'alma, Amar Le'alecha, Amar Kra. So Rabba says to Abaya, after all these psukim, maybe the last pasuk just means that Yaakov gave Yosef a Sadik one extra palm tree. How do we know he actually got an extra portion? Amar Kra, Ephraim and Reuven and Shimon Yehuli. We see that the pasuk says we get the same amount as Reuven and Shimon, referring to an entire portion in the Nachla. Once we bring down the pasuk, the story of Yaakov Avinu giving an extra portion to Yosef, says the Gemara, "Ba'ay minei Rav Chalbay Rav Shmuel bar Nachmani Maray Yaakov Shatal B'char Me Ruvain V'Nasna Li Yosef." What did Yaakov Avinu see that he took the B'chayra? We're about 20 lines down into the wide lines of the two dots. The Yaakov Avinu saw and he took the B'chayra from Ruvain and gave it to Yosef. Says the Gemara, "Mara, what did he see? Ubachal Yitzui Aviv Ksiv." The pasuk says he defiled his father's bed. That's why Ruvain didn't get the B'chayra, the B'char. Al Mara Shasali Yosef. Says the Gemara, then you're right that he took it away from Reuven. But why did he give it to Yosef? Explains the Gemara. We have a Baal Bayis that raises an orphan. The Yasam gets wealthy. I want to pay back to the Baal Bayis. So too, Yosef HaTzadik, when his father came to Eretz Yisrael, he gave his father Yaakov and the entire family, he supported them. So when Yaakov Avinu had the chance to give back to Yosef, he gives him Pi Shnayim. Amar Le, Rav Chalbay responds, V'ilav dechei to Ruvain, L'mahana le Yosef v'loi midam. If Ruvain was not chata, would Yosef HaTzadik not have benefited with anything? It sounds like it's only because Ruvain messed up. Ela, Rav Naslan, Rabcha lo kach Amar. Rather, must be Rav Yonasan Yerebi did not explain the following. The B'chayra was always destined to leave Rachel Imenu Dechsev. Eila told us Yaakov Yosef. Ela shekadmasei Leah berachamim. Leah, through her racham and through her tefillah, she came first. Because of the sneas that Leah Imenu had, Hashem returned the B'chayra to her. Says the Gemara, what does this mean? What was this story that Leah was kadam berachmim? Tachsiv, as the pasuk says, ve'ini Leah rakos. The eyes of Leah are soft. My rakos, the rakos are very soft. Avsha beganois, behema tamea, ladibra akasav. The pasuk doesn't speak about negative things about a not kosher animal. Tachsiv, min behema ta'ira, ben behema shaynenu ta'ira. We never speak in such derogatory terms, even about an animal. You're going to tell me, Beganas Adikim Dibra Akasav, the Torah speaks about negatively about Leah Yimenu? Can't be. Elos, you know what must be going on over here? Amar Avalazar, Shemas Noisea Ruchais. You know what's going on over here? That her gifts were larger than others. That Hashem gave her the bracha, that she had children, and that's where Kuhuna, etc., came from. One pshat. Rav Amar, a second shot, Leilam Rakas Mamish means herself. V'lo Ganayula. But it's not a Ganay to Leah, excuse me. Why not? Elisheva Achula, it's a praise. She's a Shemas al Parshas Rachim, because she heard at the street. B'nei Adam Sheyai Mrim Shnei Banim. Someone who has two sons, Yishla Rivka, Shtei Yishla. That someone, excuse me. She heard in the Parshas Rachim, B'nei Adam Sheyai, people would say, Shnei Banim Yishla Rivka. Rivka has two sons. Shnei Banim Yishla Lavan. Lavan has two daughters. Gedel Ligadol Ktana Likyotan. And therefore Leah heard that she, unfortunately, was going to have to marry Esav Arasha. And she would ask, Gadol my Maisav, what are the Maisim of Esav Arasha? Ishrahu mi listim, Briois Katan my Maisav. And then she would ask on the, Ishrahu mi listim Briois, he robs from people. Katan my Maisav, what are the actions of this younger one? Ishtam Yeshav Ahaylam. That he sat in tents, Yaakov Avinu. Leah would sit and cry at Shenashu Risei, now her eyelashes came out. Leah was modest. She was hated. She means hated. Tell me she was really hated. Efsha bekanas behemoth tameo dibra akasav bekanas sadikim dibra akasav. So when the pasuk says Sinua, can't mean that she was actually hated. So rather, what must mean? The Rosh Hashanah b'fanel. Shem saw that the Ma'asim of Esav were hated to her. V'yiftach es rachama. Shem opened up her wound. And that's how Leah Imenu was considered to be kodam berachamim. That's how she was zeicha to Ru'uvin. Continues the Gemara, Might Sneas Haisuba Barachel. The famous story. What was the Sneas to Rachel? T'chsev. Yagid Yaakov l'Rachel ki achi avio. The Yaakov Avinu told Rachel that he was the brother of her father, V'chi ben Rivka, and that he was the son of Rivka. V'alo ben achais avio. What does that mean? He wasn't actually. Elo amar lo, minisis li, marry me, amar le'en, mi abba ramahu. But Rachel responds, my father's a trickster, v'le'chaltali. Amar lo, my ramusel. Amar le, isli achata de kshisha minai, I have an older sister. She's not married yet. Leave me come on, she won't marry me before her. Amar lo, echav ani baramois. I'm your father's brother in trickery. Amar le, mi sharli l'tzadikim l'tzagui baramusa. Rachel asks, is it allowed for a tzaddik to act in such a way? And Yaakov responds in, Am navarti tabar ve'amakish tapol. Explains Yaakov Avinu famously, with an honest person, you're honest, but with a perverse person, you have to ask in a crooked way. Masar la simanim, Yaakov gives Rachel simanim, ki kamaili la Leah. And then what happened was, famously, when the wedding night comes, and Leah and Lavan is bringing Leah to the chuppah. Savra Rachel thinks, Hashem mitzvah, my sister Leah is going to be embarrassed. Misartinu nihalo, I must give her over this imanim. I know that's what the pasuk means. The Yaakov woke up in the morning and he realized it was Leah. What does that mean? Mechlal, that infers that Ashalav Leah. Till that moment it wasn't Leah. Simanim shemasla Yaakov l'Rachel, because of the simanim the Yaakov gave over to Rachel Leah, and she gave them to Leah. La v'yadala adahi shaiti Yaakov did not know until the morning that it was indeed Leah. The famous story of Mama Rachel being Kadam B'tznios, giving over the signs to Leah, and that's why she received eventually the Yosef HaTzadik receives Pi Shnayim. Says the Gemara, 3 lines from the bottom. Boy minei Abba Khalifa Kurua Mirav Chia Barabba. Abba Khalifa Kurua asked of Chia Barabba, Bechlolon ata moitzei shivim, beproton ata moitzei shivim. Chaser echad. Bechlolon, you find that how many people of Yaakov's children went down to Mitzrayim? 70. But when you count them up, you have 69. Amar lei, Rechia Barabba responds, Tuma Yisem Dina, there was a twin with Dina. T'chsev, as the pasuk says, Ves Dina bitoi. Elameata, so says the Gemara, 1 second, you're telling me that Dina had a twin. Elameata, Tuma Yisem Binyamin. If this is true, then a twin is born with Binyamin. T'chsev, as the pasuk says, as we turn over to Kov Chav Gimel Amin Beis, as Binyamin Achiv Ben Imai. So which one was it? Was it a twin to Dina, or was it a twin to Binyamin? So says the Gemara, so Amar Rav Chia Barabba responds, you get the 70th person that Yaakov brought down to Mitzrayim. Margali is Taiva Isa Biyadi. I have precious pearls, not to Makish Avdim, and you're trying to lose them. Hachi Amar Rav Chambar Chanina Zu Yocheved. Whose person number 70 is Yocheved? Sheirasa Badera. She was conceived on the road. V'leidasa bin Achaymais. She was born as they passed into Mitzrayim. Shenemar Sheyalda Isa Lelevi b'Mitzrayim Leidasa b'Mitzrayim. She indeed was born in Mitzrayim. However, V'neirasa b'Mitzrayim, she was not conceived in Mitzrayim. Rather, she was conceived on the road. That's why we have 69. But indeed, Yocheved was the 70th person. Continues the Gemara, 6 lines down. The first one on line is B'Mitzrayim Ba'yiminei Rav Chalboim B'Rashmom Nachmeni. Once we're on the topic of Yaakov and Yosef, Ksiv, the pasuk says, V'ika sheyalda Rachel es Yosef v'Gomer. The pasuk says that when Rachel gives birth to Yosef, Ma'ishana ki is Yaled Yosef. What changed when she gave birth to Yosef? Why did Yaakov Avinu comes home? The pasuk says, the Yaakov says to Lavan, now it's time to leave. Amar lei, so Shmuel Rachmeni responds, Ra Yaakov Avinu shein zaroi shel Esav nimsar ela biyad zaroi shel Yosef. The Yaakov Avinu saw that the offsprings of Esav is not destined to be given over to the hands of anyone, but to the children of Yosef. Shenemar, So Pasuk says, and that's what we learn out from the Pasuk. David hit Amalekis from the night until the evening of the next day. What do we say? David, who came from Yehuda, not Yosef, he was the one that killed the Amalekim, who of course came from Esav. So why are you telling me it was those of Yosef Hatzadik? Amar Le, Rosh Hashanah responds, Ta'akrecha Nevi, Lo Yakrecha Ksuvi. You read Nevi'im, you didn't read Ksuvim. Why? The Pasuk says, Belechtai el Siklag Naflu Olam Mi Menashe Adena. The Pasuk says, Belechtai el Siklag Naflu Olam Mi Menashe. When David went to Siklag, they fell from Menashe. Adenach v'Yezavad v'Yidel Michal v'Yezavad v'Eliu v'Tzalsa, those were all their names. Rashi ha'alafim. They were the heads of the chiefs of Asher Menashe. So what do we see? It was because those that came from Yosef joined together. That's why David eventually was victorious. But again, it raised and it began from Yosef Hatzadik. Master Rav Yosef continues the Gemara, 8 lines on the white lines. From them, from the sons of Shimon, 500 men went to Har Seir. Uplatia v'Nara v'Rafia v'Uziel ben Yishi b'Reisha, and they were all at the head. V'Yakuis Sheiris Hapleita l'Amalek, and they hit and they killed the Sheiris Hapleita, the remnants of Amalek. V'Yishu Shamariyim Mazan. They returned there. They lived there until this day. So we see that 1 second. If you're telling me that only the descendants of Yosef and Sadik kill Amalek, how could it be that from this pasuk we see that what we see that it was the Bnei Shimon? Amar Rava Bar Shila Yishi b'mei Menashe, that says Rava Bar Shila Yishi came from the children of Menashe. Osi d'chsev u'bnei Menashe chafer v'Yishi, which of course means if they came from Menashe, they came from Yosef Atzadik, and therefore indeed concurs that it's only Yosef Atzadik is the one that's able to destroy Amalek. And even though it's a little bit high in the Amid, at this point the Gemara at Tanur Rabbanan brings us back to the Mishnah. Brings us back to din of the Mishnah of Pishnayim. So let's pick it up from over here, B'siyata Deshmaya, in the next Shir.